You pull into the gas station on a Thursday night and watch the numbers climb so fast on the pump that it feels like a slot machine rigged against you. $90, $95, $100. The same truck your father drove to work for 20 years now costs almost as much to fill as a week of groceries did back in 2004. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question starts growing louder every single year. If engines are more advanced than ever, why does it still feel like we are bleeding money every time we drive to work? 3 months ago, outside a small repair garage near Millersburg, Ohio, I met a retired mechanic named Eli who handed me a dusty coffee can filled with old fuel receipts from the 1970s. The numbers looked fake. Pickup trucks getting 20 miles per gallon with carbureted V8 engines. Farm tractors running for weeks on fuel budgets that sound impossible today. He looked at me and said something I have not stopped thinking about since. He said, "People think old mechanics were dumb. They were not dumb. They just knew how to keep machines alive instead of replacing them." Now, before we go any further, I need to make something very clear. There is no secret $3 additive that magically doubles fuel economy. No bottle hidden at Walmart. No outlawed chemical Ford is trying to ban. The internet has been flooded for years with miracle fuel myths that promise impossible mileage gains, and most of them lead to damaged engines, ruined fuel systems, and people wasting money chasing fantasies. But what I found in Holmes County was more interesting than a conspiracy theory. It was the story of how ordinary drivers used careful maintenance, driving habits, and simple mechanical knowledge to stretch fuel farther than most people today think possible. Not double, not magic, just practical methods that actually work. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand why an old farmer with a rusted Chevy pickup can sometimes spend less on fuel than the man driving a brand new luxury SUV with twice the technology. The first thing Eli showed me was not a bottle. It was a notebook, leather cover, oil stains on the corners, fuel logs going back nearly 30 years, every fill-up written down by hand, date, mileage, gallons, weather. Testing found that every extra 100 pounds in a vehicle reduces fuel economy, especially in smaller engines. Modern drivers are basically hauling around miniature storage units without realizing it. Eli laughed when he told me that one customer kept 4 bowling balls in the trunk of his sedan for almost a decade because he forgot they were there. 4 bowling balls, burning fuel every single day. Now this is where the story gets interesting because the Amish mechanics I spoke to all shared one habit that almost nobody follows anymore. They drive slower, not because they are in a hurry less often, because they understand airflow. Once most vehicles pass 60 miles per hour, aerodynamic drag increases dramatically. The faster you go, the harder the engine works to push air out of the way. According to the EPA, aggressive speeding and rapid acceleration can lower gas mileage by between 15 and 30% on highways. Think about that. A driver who constantly jumps between 75 and 85 miles per hour may be spending hundreds more per year than somebody calmly cruising at 65. The Amish figured this out long before modern fuel economy studies existed because they paid for fuel out of pocket and used trucks for work, not status. Eli told me something I wrote down immediately. He said, "The easiest way to save gas is to stop driving like the road owes you something." And honestly, after watching traffic for a week outside Columbus, I think he may be right. But there was one thing in his garage that looked exactly like the beginning of a conspiracy theory, a small yellow bottle. I recognized it instantly because you have probably seen one too sitting near the checkout counter of a gas station or auto parts store. Fuel system cleaner. For years, people online have claimed these products secretly unlock hidden MPG gains that manufacturers do not want you to know about. Some videos claim 20% improvements. Others claim engines suddenly run like race cars. The reality is more boring and much more useful. Quality fuel system cleaners can help remove carbon deposits from injectors and intake valves over time, especially in older engines that have been neglected. Top-tier gasoline already contains detergents that help reduce buildup, but a reputable cleaner used occasionally may restore lost efficiency in dirty engines. Restore, not double. That distinction matters. If your engine has clogged injectors, dirty valves, and poor combustion because it has not been maintained properly for years, cleaning the system can bring performance back closer to factory condition. But it is not creating free energy. That is where internet myths become dangerous, because once people believe there is hidden magic in a bottle, they start experimenting with chemicals that were never designed for fuel systems. I found forum posts from drivers pouring paint thinner, acetone, transmission fluid, and industrial solvents into gas tanks because somebody online promised impossible mileage gains. Modern engines are incredibly precise machines. Fuel pumps, seals, catalytic converters, and oxygen sensors are calibrated within narrow tolerances. Using the wrong chemical can destroy components that cost thousands to replace. The National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence warns specifically against homemade additive mixtures because they can damage emission systems and create serious safety risks. Eli knew all about those myths. He shook his head and told me he had seen people destroy perfectly good engines chasing miracle mileage. Then he said something important. The real secret was never additives. It was maintenance. That sentence changed the direction of this entire investigation, because once I stopped chasing conspiracy theories and started looking at what experienced mechanics actually do, the pattern became obvious. Every small efficiency improvement stacks together. Clean air filters, proper tire pressure, steady speeds, correct motor oil, working oxygen sensors, fresh spark plugs, balanced tires, proper alignment, reduced weight, gentle acceleration. None of those things sound exciting individually, but together they create something powerful. A vehicle operating the way it was designed to operate. Consumer Reports once conducted testing that showed neglected maintenance alone can reduce fuel economy significantly over time. A badly misfiring engine may lose enormous efficiency without the driver realizing how much fuel is being wasted. And this brings us to the biggest misconception in modern driving culture. Most people assume newer automatically means more efficient. Not always. A poorly maintained modern SUV, driven aggressively, can consume more fuel than a carefully maintained older pickup driven responsibly. The Amish mechanics understood this because they kept vehicles for decades. They learned every sound, every vibration, every small change in performance. When something drifted out of spec, they fixed it immediately. Modern drivers often ignore warning lights for months. One mechanic in Walnut Creek told me he had customers driving with failing oxygen sensors for over a year because the vehicle still felt normal. Meanwhile, the engine computer was dumping extra fuel into the combustion process the entire time. That single neglected component can lower fuel economy dramatically. Now here's the part that surprised me most. The $3 item Eli actually recommended was not an additive at all. It was a tire gauge. $3. He said most people spend more time checking social media than checking the condition of the machine carrying them 40 miles to work every day. And statistically, he is probably right. The Department of Energy estimates proper maintenance and driving habits together can improve gas mileage substantially, depending on vehicle condition and driving style. Not double, but meaningful, real, repeatable. And unlike miracle chemical claims, these improvements do not disappear after one tank. They also do not risk destroying your engine. The more I researched fuel economy myths, the more I realized why they spread so easily. People are desperate, fuel prices rise, commutes get longer, truck payments grow larger, and somewhere along the way Americans started treating vehicles less like machines and more like disposable appliances. When something breaks, replace it. When mileage drops, ignore it. When maintenance gets expensive, trade the vehicle in. But older communities, especially rural mechanics and farming families, never operated that way because they could not afford to. They stretched every gallon because they had to. They repaired instead of replacing. They learned mechanical systems deeply enough to understand cause and effect. That knowledge feels almost revolutionary today because so many drivers have become disconnected from the machines they rely on daily. One afternoon, I asked Eli why he thought fuel myths became so popular online. He wiped grease off his hands with an old rag and smiled. Because people want a shortcut, he said. Then he pointed toward a pickup parked outside his garage. The owner wanted better mileage. The truck needed spark plugs, a dirty air filter, new tires, and an alignment. Instead, the driver bought 3 miracle additives from the internet. The truck still ran badly. That story repeats itself every day across America. We live in a culture trained to look for hacks instead of fundamentals, but fundamentals are what actually work. There was one final thing Eli showed me before I left Holmes County. A handwritten note taped inside his toolbox. Take care of the machine, and the machine takes care of you. Simple, almost obvious, yet somehow forgotten. And maybe that is why stories about secret outlawed additives spread so easily. Because deep down, people know something about the modern system feels broken. They know costs keep rising. They know products are designed for replacement cycles. They know convenience often replaces durability. So when someone claims there is a hidden trick the corporations do not want you to know, people listen. But the truth is usually less dramatic and more practical. Real fuel savings come from discipline. Real longevity comes from maintenance. Real efficiency comes from understanding how your vehicle actually works, not from pouring mystery chemicals into the gas tank. Tonight, before you spend another $100 at the pump, do something most drivers never do. Check your tire pressure. Empty unnecessary weight from your trunk. Look at your air filter. Drive 5 miles per hour slower on the highway. Track your mileage for a month. because the biggest hidden fuel-saving secret in America is not sitting in a banned bottle. It is sitting in habits. People stopped practicing.